Alright everyone, so this week I thought we'd go ahead and create a really romantic silhouette against a really cool sunset image here. What I want to do is take this image of this couple here and create just a black silhouette and put it against this sunset background. So to do that, go into the image of the couple here, and we're just going to go in here and select my Magic Wand tool. And with the tolerance around its default, roughly 33, I'm just going to click in the white area inside here, just once. Now, I'm going to undo that, deselect it. Do want to make sure of something. Want to make sure that contiguous here is unchecked, so we select some white areas that aren't connected to the overall background white area. So if I click once in there, you can see that it's selected that inside area, but it also selected some areas inside the face that I don't necessarily need selected. So with my zoom tool, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on that area. Now let's get our lasso tool right here. We're going to go inside this area and remove those areas of that selection. And I'll do that by holding down my Option key, which will actually take away from the selection. And if I hold that, you can see the little minus symbol that comes up next to the lasso. I'm just going to draw a selection around there, and it will remove that. Do the same thing here, and let's do that right here. Now, a little bit of her teeth are selected because they're very similar to the background there, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove that by drawing that little area right there. Just like that. Then that looks pretty good. So now, obviously we don't want the background to bring into our sunset image. We want the shape of these people. So I just need to invert the selection by going under the Select menu and go to Inverse. And now the people are selected. Now I'm just going to drag the selection over to my new image. Not the people themselves, but just the selection I made. So with the any selection tool activated, I'm just going to grab that selection and drag it over to my new file. We'll zoom in this here a little bit. Now with that selection still active, I can go ahead and take my selection tool and actually move it into position. And we'll put it right about there. Now, it's still an active selection, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. And with black set as my foreground color, I'm just going to press Option Delete. And that will fill that background or that selection in. Then I'll just deselect by pressing Command or Control D. Now, a couple things I need to do here. Well, first thing I'm going to do is actually go into the Filter menu and go to Blur. Gaussian blur. Let's give us a slight 1 pixel blur here, just so it seems to blend in a little bit better. Next thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to duplicate the shape of this layer here. And I'm going to go into my layer styles, the effects little icon right here. We're going to go to outer glow. And with outer glow selected, I'm going to click on the little color swatch here. And I'll get my color picker, but I'm not going to select color in here. I'm actually going to go into the image itself, and when I do that, you see it turns into an eyedropper. I'm actually going to sample this light orange color that's really close to the sun here, right like that. And you can see it's applied it as that glow, so I'm just going to hit OK. I'm actually going to increase that size just a little bit, and we'll drop the opacity down just a hair, just like that. Now, I'm going to apply an inner glow as well on the same layer. Let's go ahead and activate inner glow. And as we did before, we're going to go to that color picker and go in and sample that light orange again. And because by default it's on screen mode, well, we're against the black. See, the inner glow is going to be applied to the inside of this shape, which is black. So screen won't work here. We're actually just going to put it back to normal and increase the size up a little bit. There you can see that glow is coming through. All right. So now that I've got that glow applied, well, before I go out of this one time, I am going to apply a mask and mask out a great deal of this glow area. But, let me actually drop this opacity down a little bit. But in order to do that and achieve the effect I want, I'm going to have to go into my blending options here and go right down here where it says Layer Mask Hides Effects. I'm just going to turn that on. And then we'll hit OK. So now you can see I've got a glow going on all the way around this. Well, that's a little too unrealistic, so we need to apply a layer mask here. And I want to get my gradient tool. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fill this layer mask with black, so it hides the entire effect here. So with black obviously set as my background color, I'm just going to press Command Delete, or that would be Control Backspace on a PC. So now that layer mask is filled with black, completely hiding the effect. Well, I'm going to use a gradient tool. And we're just going to select the very first gradient inside the gradient picker here. And making sure white is set as the foreground color and black is the background, I'm going to drag out from the sun area here just a little ways, right about like this. And you can see it begins to bring that glow back in. In fact, I'm going to drag it out a little bit more. You can see that glow is starting to appear back in here in some areas, making it a little bit more realistic, like it's really coming from the direction of the sun there. Now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to create a new layer. And right where that sun is, we'd expect to see kind of a flare, like a lens flare almost, coming out from around this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and get my brush tool here. And with that brush tool selected, you see I got a good sized brush here, about 250, and it's a very soft brush. I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key and just sample this light yellow color right up in here where that light's coming from. And I'm going to create a new, actually I am on a new layer, so make sure you're working on create a new layer at the very top. Make sure it's above all the other layers. And right where that sun is, I'm just going to click once. Boom. Now, that light's a little too light. Let's actually sample a lighter color there. Click once there. You can see we're getting a nice glare coming around him, and there's a slight glow on them that's coming from that light right there. But it enhances the realism of that silhouette against a really realistic background or sunset.